these are the things we'll be using today to create this. We've got zombie animation and some tiles, or we'll just be using the one out of this tile map to create the scene. So let's start with create a new folder, call it zombie, highlight the folder zombie and drag, well, just drag everything into that, I think. We won't be using all these animations, but we might as well drag the lot in. Go in there, and we will just move the temple tile out of there, out of the way. Move to the home folder. Right, first thing we want to do is create a little scene. So just a normal node for that, and then we will add the tile set, I think, first. Add tile map. Click over on the tile map, say new tile set. Click on that, and we will drag the tile set into there. Click on that to get a nice thing. Now we want a new single tile, and it's going to be a region. You can enable snap. You can see all the sections there, and we don't want the next one up there, just that one there, and we want it to be a collision. Okay, that's it, that's done. I highlight the tile set, and you can see we can now place them level right. Make a floor, and we don't go too far apart because it should be far enough so we can see what the sprite is doing. Okay, that's that. Now we need, highlight the world again, and we need a kinematic body 2D. Body 2D. For this simple thing, we don't really need to. As you see, we need to do a collision shape, obviously, for it. Collision shape 2D, and give it a shape over here, which will be square or rectangle. And also we need a sprite, obviously, so highlight 2D again, and a sprite. Oh, no, we don't want a sprite, we want an animated sprite. And if we spell it right, we might get one up. Animated sprite. This sprite has no frames, so let's do some new sprite frames. Click on the sprite frames, and we're going to bring in the attack. So let's as well attack. Name it attack. Highlight the first one. Hold down Control. No. Highlight the first one. Hold down Shift and drag them in. And then click on this to add another animation, which is going to be walk. And the walk animation, shift, drag them in. Right, you've got the two animations. Obviously he's way too big, so just simply come over here to the transform and we'll scale it down to a quarter its size. It's better. Highlight the main kinematic body 2D and make sure that the children are selectable. Now, put it down here. So we can drag everything down. And the collision shape, we need to adjust to the size of the sprite. Useful hint here is if you hold Alt while that's highlighted, you just select the collision shape, which is much easier, because otherwise sometimes, as you see, click and you select the kinematic body which you don't want to move. So collision shape, hold down Alt and move the shape and do whatever you want to. For the purposes of this, I think that's going to be fine. Line it up with the feet at the bottom, so when we add gravity in that, it'll all work. Okay. Right, for now let's save that as, let's add a script to the, call it that as well. And we will save that. As world. And we'll press run. It's going to ask us what we want to run. We will say we want the world to run. And for now, nothing's going to happen. So now we need to do some scripting. Right, the first thing we'll do is get rid of all this. And we won't be moving around for this. We'll use the physics process. First of all, we will create some variables. So we'll have a variable for velocity. And that's going to be equal to a vector 2. And what am I doing? I don't need the dot there. And we will also export a variable, which means it'll show up in the inspector, and we'll have that as zombie direction. That's just simply going to be equal to 1. And it's going to be 1 or minus 1 for the direction. We can also export the speed. We'll try that at 50. See what that looks like. Make sure you tell it it's a variable. Right, so if you go into the kinematics now, you can see that we've got the zombie direction exported and the speed, so you can alter them in this rather than go back to the code and alter it. The first thing we're going to set up is the anim state itself. So we will to enumerator, and we use capitals for this, so anim state, and then the curly brackets to put everything inside it, and it's going to be 2, isn't it? We've just got the walk and the attack, so walk. Use my slow typing, and remember to put a comma there, and attack. Another comma. And we'll create another variable now for the anim state. We'll just use lowercase for that. So we know that we're using the anim state, and to begin with it's going to be null, it's going to have no value whatsoever. In the ready function we're going to set up, which is the part of the script that gets called first, we're going to set up the initial walk animation. So we'll go anim state equals the capital anim state, and we want to do the walk animation. Now the $sign to get up the animated sprite, which is there, down, animated sprite, and we're going to play walk. Which is what we call the animation. We set the speed then. And we will do the direction because he's facing right anyway, so we set up the opposite one. So if zombie direction is equal to 2 equal signs is equal to, and we go -1. So if he's facing the other way, we want the animated sprite to flip. So we colon again animated sprite flip horizontal equals true. Okay, if we go on to play, now we should just see the zombie just walking in place, because obviously we haven't set up any movement yet on its x-axis. So the next thing now is to do a function physics process, which will now, we will use the built-in if is on wall. So we do if is, that's right, underscore, let's remember the underscore, so it's on, and then we can on ceiling, on floor, or on wall. We're going to use the on wall built-in function, so it knows that it hits something. And we're going to say the zombie direction is equal to the zombie direction times minus 1. Now this is a bit confusing. I find this is the best way this works, so I'll show you afterwards when we've set it all up. So we're going to say the animated sprite, I don't know where I got this from, but it really works better than just doing flip true and false. So we go flip h is equal to not. Let's see, it is a function there, or whatever it's called, built-in function, and we're going to say animated sprite, flip h again. So we're saying that what it is originally, we're now going to not be it. So it will now be the opposite of it. I don't know if that's a double negative or what. Normally you would put gravity at the top as a variable, but for this we'll just say velocity y, plus equals 20 should be enough. I think that's going to drop the sprite onto the floor, and the velocity x direction, the horizontal, is going to be the speed times the zombie. Let's put an equal sign in there, does help. Zombie direction. And what else do we need? We need, the actual move and slide function. So we're going to say velocity equals move and collide. We don't want move and slide. And it's going to be velocity, obviously, moving. And we also need to tell it the to and the up direction. So you know which way is up and which way is down. Okay, if we do that now, let's see where we are with that. Alright, so still not moving yet. My bad. Multitasking isn't my strong point. That shouldn't be included in the if is on wall, so just highlight it all, right click and go indent left. Otherwise it is not going to work. And as you see, it falls straight through the floor because we haven't set up the collisions yet. Okay, before we go any further, you've probably already spotted this if you're familiar with tile maps. What I forgot to do is set the collision in the tile map. That we did say collision, but then we forgot to do that, which is going to be that. Now it is set to collide with things. I hope. Let's run it now and see what happens. There. Okay, so now we've got him walking like that, and he's flipping. So now we need to set up the anim states so that he will not just walk but also do the attack sequence. So let's go back to the script, and now we're going to, on the animated sprite, over onto the node section, and we're going to do animation finished, and it's going to go to the script, and in here we're going to say, right, if the anim state is equal to double equal sign again to anim state dot walk. We're going to say that the capital one, we want the anim state equals anim state, anim state attack. So if we're doing the walk, then the next thing we want to do is to play the attack. So we'll go animated sprite, play attack. Now, when he attacks, we want him to move, obviously, because he'll just be sliding across the floor otherwise. So we'll go speed equals 0. So he just stops. And then backspace, so elif anim state is equal again to the anim state attack. Then we're going to go back to the ready function, back to the walk. So we'll just call the ready function again, which is going to be ready. So when the initial animation finishes, animation's finished, we're saying that it's equal to walk, so we want you to play the attack animation. Don't want the sprite to move, so speed is 0. And if it is attack that's played, then we want to go back to the ready function and back to the walk. So in other words, it'll just loop through all of that each time. So if I've done that right, it should now stop and attack. And there you have it. You're looping through the two functions. Obviously, if you wanted him to do that attack move more than once, then you just simply double up the animation. Just double up those frames again, or the walk, whichever. Of course, by doing it that way, with that, let me show you now. So what we've done with this not animated right flip page, you could say, well, let's asterisk that out, come back, and so we're doing true, we want false. And I think you'll see a difference in the way that the animation works now. See, you get that odd, because it's looping back through the true and false, and it just doesn't like the, it does it fine that way, but because you're looping back through, it's just a second of delay. As you can see, that the best way for that to work is to have the not animated sprite flip page. Processes it much quicker, and also, of course, I mean, we're going in the right direction there, but because you exported it, if you had something that you would prefer started from the left, then you would simply put a minus there. So it's going to go left now first. And the rest of the flip, and that will just work fine. So you can have them facing either way. And I think that's about it for this one. You could add sound to it, obviously, with a growl or something. And the next thing we could tackle would be edges. So I mean, if we went to the tile map now and got rid of those, having going in the right direction, you'll see he's just going to fall off the edge. So in the next video we will tackle how to stop him doing that. I'll see you then.